Hello friends, greetings of the day. Welcome to the online session of Business Economics. In this session, we are going to learn chapter number 4, that is price output determination in various market forms. Now this chapter is divided into 3 different units. Unit number 1, we shall talk about meaning and types of market, very much easy topic. Again, it is divided into 2 parts. In the first portion, we shall learn the meaning and types of market, and in the second portion, we shall learn various concepts about the revenue. Second unit is price determination. We shall learn here that how the prices are determined in the open competitive market. And unit number 3 is about price output determination in various market forms. That means here we will learn different types of market. That means perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and imperfect competition. How the prices are determined in all these 4 types of market, that will be the subject matter of unit number 3. But as you know that we'll start with unit number 1, that is meaning and types of market. So friends, as I said earlier, this unit is divided into 2 different parts. The first part, that is part 1, we shall learn types of market, and in part 2 we shall learn the concepts of revenue. So first friends, we shall start with the types of meaning and types of market. Let us see the meaning of market. Generally we believe that market is a place where buyer and seller interact. But in economics, this place is not required. It means that it is not compulsory that there must be a particular place only. But in economics, market can take place wherever there is an interaction between buyer and seller. Let us see the definition. The market simply means as all those buyers and sellers of a good or service who influence the price. That means wherever there is an interaction between the buyers and sellers, and for purchasing of goods and services, that particular place will be considered as a market. So for example, you go to the shopping mall and you purchase something from the shopping mall. In that case, the interaction between buyer and seller takes place, so it is considered as a market. Or you purchase something from Amazon, online shopping. Again, buyer and seller interact through the online platform, so the online platform will also be considered as a market. So here remember that market does not require any fixed place. Now let us see the elements of market. Now in order to happen a market, these elements are required to have. That means if these elements are not existing, market cannot take place. The first element is a buyer and seller. It means that there must be a buyer, there must be a seller. If there is buyer but no seller, market cannot take place. In the same way, there is a seller but there is no buyer, again market cannot take place. Second element is a product or service. That means buyer must be willing to buy a product or a service. In the same manner, seller must have a product or a service to sell. If these 3 elements, that means buyer and seller, these first 2 elements, and product or service, these 3 elements are the pillars of market. If these 3 things are not there, market can never take place. Third element, bargaining for a price. Friends, here bargaining means communication about the price. There must be interaction between the buyer and seller for the price only. Bargaining here does not mean the traditional way of bargaining or arguments about the prices. Here we are not talking about the argument related to the price. Bargaining here only means communication about the price. And then knowledge about the market condition. That means the buyers must know about the sellers and sellers must know about the buyers. If this knowledge is not available, again market cannot take place. And then one price for a product or service at a given time. That means price must be fixed for a particular transaction. If price goes on fluctuating, the transaction cannot take place, and in that case market cannot take place. So there must be one price for a particular product at a particular time. Then let us see the classification of market. As I said earlier that in this particular portion we are going to learn various types of market. So market is classified on the basis of area, it is classified on the basis of time, on the basis of nature of transaction, then on the basis of regulation, on the basis of volume of business, and on the basis of types of competition. Let us learn them one by one. The first classification is on the basis of area. Now the market is classified on the basis of area into four different categories. The first one is local market, regional market, national market, and international market. Now what do we mean by local market? Local market is a place where perishable and bulky goods are bought and sold. Perishable goods, you know very well, the goods which last no longer, that means it can be used for 1 or 2 days. So these kind of goods are sold in local market. Bulky goods means the goods which are bought and sold in a large quantity. That means say for example market for bricks, market for sand, market for cement, these are considered as bulky goods and it is sold in local market. Whereas regional market is the market for semi-durable goods. Semi-durable goods means the goods like stationery items, books, clothes, these all are considered as semi-durable goods and market for them is considered as regional market. Then comes national market. National market is the market for durable goods. Durable goods means the air conditioners, refrigerators, all these are considered as durable goods and market for that is national market. And international market is market for precious goods. Precious goods means the goods like gold, platinum, diamond, all these are precious metals and market for that is considered as international market. Next one is classification on the basis of time. Now on the basis of time, market is classified again into four categories. The first one is very short period market, short period market, long period market, and very long period market. Very short period market means the market for perishable goods. So for example, market for milk, market for vegetables, fruits, this is considered as very short period market. Then comes short period market and long period market. Friends, you already know short run and long run. You know that short run is the time period where variable factors can only be changed. So when prices can be affected by changing only the variable factors, that is known as short period market. Whereas in case of long period, you all know that in long run everything is variable. That means fixed factors can also be changed. So if we can increase supply by installing plants and machinery or by changing the fixed factors, that market will be considered as a long period market. Then comes very long period market. Very long period market means the market of long run changes. Long run changes means the changes in the population, capital supply, supply of raw material, etc. Friends, these kind of changes do not take place immediately or overnight. These take too much long time, 5, 10, 15 years, and the market during this time period will be considered as very long period market. Friends, here a question can be asked, what is another name of very long period market? So remember, very long period market is also known as secular period market. Secular period means very long period. And then market on the basis of nature of transactions. Now nature of transaction, it is divided into two parts, spot market and future market. Spot market means what? The spot market means the goods are physically transacted on the spot. Physically transacted on the spot. It means that when transaction takes place at the same time the delivery and payment is given. That means transaction જ્યારે થાય ત્યારે ને ત્યારે delivery ને payment આપવામાં આવે તો that is considered as spot market. But future market means the transaction takes place right now, but the delivery and payment will be made in some future date, so that will be considered as a future market. Then market on the basis of regulation. Again there are two types, regulated market and unregulated market. Regulated market means the transactions are statutorily regulated. Now what do we mean by statutorily regulated? Statutorily regulated means there are legal restrictions on the transactions. According to these restrictions, according to these rules and regulations, the transaction can take place. So for example, the share market. Share market is statutorily regulated. If you want to make the transactions into the share market, you need to follow these rules and regulations. So that is considered as regulated market. But on the other hand, unregulated market is there is no restriction on the transactions. That means a buyer or a seller can make the restrictions according to his willingness. So for example, market for vegetables, that is considered as an unregulated market. Then market on the basis of volume of business. On the basis of volume of business, we can divide market into two types, that is wholesale market and retail market. Wholesale market means when commodities are bought and sold in a large quantity, that is considered as a wholesale market. But when the commodities are bought and sold in a small quantity, it is considered as a retail market. So for example, if you go to a retail shop and you purchase 5 kilo wheat, that is considered as a retail market. But if you go to market yard and you purchase a truck full of wheat, then it is considered as a wholesale market. And then market on the basis of competition. Now on the basis of competition, there can be measured two types, perfect competition and imperfect competition. Now let us learn various types of competition through this particular table. Here we need to understand four different markets: the pure competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopoly. Friends, this table is very much important because this is the base for unit number 3 of this particular chapter. Because in unit number 3 again we have to learn all these four markets in detail. So kindly remember all these characteristics which are described here. They will be again useful when we shall learn unit number 3. Let us see the first one, the number of sellers. In case of number of sellers, pure competition, we have very large number of sellers. In case of monopolistic competition, large number of sellers. Large number of sellers means less than that, the number of sellers that were there in pure competition. But monopolistic competition will have lesser number of sellers as compared to pure competition. And then in case of oligopoly, there are a few sellers. Now what do we mean by a few sellers? There will be 2 to 10 sellers, that is oligopoly. And in case of monopoly, there is only one seller in the market, that is monopoly. Then product differentiation. Product differentiation means whether the product will be similar or it will be differentiated. That means the product can be either homogeneous or it can be heterogeneous. So if the product is heterogeneous, it can be considered as a differentiated product. So in case of pure competition, there is no differentiation. Now no differentiation means what? The product is homogeneous, means in all the ways, whether it is quality or it is packing or it is quantity, the products sold by every seller is completely homogeneous. And in case of monopolistic competition, the product differentiation is slight. That means every seller will try to differentiate his product from the other sellers. That means they will bring differentiation in terms of quality, features of the product, packaging of the product, or so many other factors. In case of oligopoly, Again, product differentiation is none to substantial. Now what do we mean by none to substantial? Friends, there are certain products in which we will see no differentiation at all, and on the other hand there will be certain products in which there will be substantial differentiation. Let us take one example. Say for example, iron and steel industry. There will be hardly 8 to 10 companies which are manufacturing iron and steel. Now these 8 to 10 companies which are manufacturing iron and steel, there is no differentiation between iron and steel because iron and steel will always be similar. So there is no differentiation. But on the other hand, if we talk about the washing powder, there will be 8 to 10 companies which are manufacturing washing powder, but all the companies will bring substantial differentiation in their washing powder. They may bring differentiation in terms of packaging, or in terms of quality, or in terms of features of washing powder. So there is substantial differentiation. So in case of oligopoly, products can be no differentiated or it can be substantially differentiated. And in case of monopoly, there is extreme differentiation. Now extreme differentiation because the monopoly is the only seller and he can differentiate product according to his wish. Then price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand, you know that in case of perfect competition or pure competition, price elasticity of demand is infinite. You already have learnt about price elasticity. Now infinite elasticity means perfectly elastic demand will be there in case of pure competition. In case of monopolistic competition, the demand will be large elastic. Large elastic मतलब શું? So there is elastic demand. Elastic demand means answer will be greater than 1. In case of oligopoly, elasticity is small. Small elasticity means it is inelastic. And in case of monopoly also, the demand will be small elastic. Small elastic is inelastic. Inelastic means answer will be less than 1 but greater than 0. And the next feature is degree of control over the price. Now can the seller control the price? So answer is no in case of pure competition. The pure competition, seller cannot determine the price of his product on his own. It means that prices will be market determined. Seller has no control. In case of monopolistic competition, there is some degree of control over the price. That means the sellers can determine the price of his product on his own. In case of oligopoly, again there is some degree of control over the price. And in case of monopoly, there is very considerable control over the price because there is only one seller and he can determine the price of his product according to his willingness. So that's all. These all are the different types of market. Thank you.